Well, the next episode of Movies That Got to Me is one I'm approaching with so much trepidation, believe it or not, that I decided to go with a slightly easier one this time. And when I say easy, I must have rocks in my head. Well, okay. So, if you saw The Exorcist, and most folks have at this point, there's a scene in the movie where there's a party being thrown, and I guess the guest of honor at the party is an astronaut, and as this party is going on, Reagan Reagan McNeil, who is possessed at this point, nobody realizes it. You know, her mom certainly does realize she's been having physical problems. Or maybe it's too early even for that, but she comes down, walks into the middle of the party. She's supposed to have been in bed for the night. And she looks up at the astronaut and says, "You're gonna die up there." And then pisses on the floor. Well, the ninth configuration is the story of that astronaut. Now, the ninth configuration is part two of what is known as William Peter Blatty's trilogy of faith, and that is, The Exorcist, the ninth configuration, and The Exorcist 2. The ninth configuration, or Exorcist 3, I'm sorry, oh Jesus. Yeah, I don't want to be making that mistake. The Exorcist Part 2 has one good thing going for it, and that is Lalo Schifrin's music. That's it. Actually, I kind of don't mind, what is it, like little James Earl Jones riding around on a bumblebee or whatever. That's pretty funny. But William Peter Blatty's trilogy are the only Exorcist movies that count. And yeah, believe it or not, I count the ninth configuration as an Exorcist movie. Other than that tangential element, it has nothing at all to do with The Exorcist. It just has to do with the astronaut and his crisis of faith. William Peter Blatty wrote the book The Exorcist. He wrote the screenplay for William Friedkin's version of The Exorcist. He actually helmed the ninth configuration as director. And it's kind of a chaotic hodgepodge. It's probably, I don't know, it's very difficult to, it seems to be very episodic and in a lot of respects very comedic. But there are multiple plots going on. The first part of the plot involves Stacy Keach as a guy who is being brought on board to be a psychiatrist, to be like the head psychiatrist in a military mental institution. And his name is Vincent Kane, and I'm trying to think of how it goes, but he is kind of haunted by the memory of a brother whose nickname was Killer Kane, and he had, I think, committed bloody murder and atrocities in the military. I'm not sure exactly how that went. One of There's a whole slew when he gets to this castle up in the mountains, which is, I guess, this unit, this mental institution. It is full of a crazy hodgepodge of soldiers and inmates and just crazy, crazy, crazy people. The cast here is berserk. Yeah, outside Stacy Keach, who alone merits a look. He's great in this. You get Jason Miller, who, played Father Karras in The Exorcist. He's back as a completely different character. Ed Flanders, who was from St. Elsewhere. Neville fucking Brand. Moses Gunn. Robert Loggia. Joe friggin' Spinell. Love Joe Spinell. Tom Atkins. Somewhere sandwiched into the cast is Richard Lynch. Blink and you missed him. And this big crazy cast are just cavorting around in this military mental institution that barely seems to hold together. It's kind of like a nonstop surrealist comedy routine. At one point, I think the inmates have all been charged with producing Shakespeare play with a cast of dogs. And at one point, some guy rides by wearing a jetpack, and it's nutsoid. And it's all very comedic, but then at the core of it, it's very serious because it has to do with Stacy Keach's own struggle with his own identity and as it relates to his brother. It has to do with Captain Billy Cutshaw, the astronaut played by Scott Wilson in this, who a lot of people came to know later on in life as Herschel in the Walking Dead series. But kind of the central debate is, here's this guy Cutshaw who freaked out and aborted a moon landing because he was so terrified of flying. And if you look at the inciting incident being, which never comes up in the story, being told by Reagan, you're going to die up there. Basically, I don't know, it creates this crisis of faith, and the whole thing is him struggling with theology and him struggling with his feelings about God and religion and man's place in the universe and whatever else, and this leaves him so shocked and uncertain that he doesn't know if he can get back up in that rocket and go to the moon. And Keach is entailed to go at him and go with him in this spiritual argument to bring about, to kind of get him better and get him to where he can perform his duty. But, it's like at the same time, should he perform his duty? Maybe he's right. And just these, grappling with these big, heavy conversations, these big, heavy questions, which I think is one thing I really love about this movie, is that having all kinds of insane, deranged comedy popping in out of all sides, it at the core is this very serious kind of philosophical story, with this character who is going through very real cosmic dread, and how is he going to get through this? How's he going to get through this crisis conscience? And Stacy Keach, who's got his own skeletons in the closet, how's he going to be the guy that brings it back together for him? How could he possibly be? And it's these big questions and these big issues that I'm going to leave you with. I'm not throwing you a ton of spoilers here. Watch the movie. All I'm going to say is watch the movie. This is a treasured favorite of mine. Yeah, I'm not even going to put in Murderer's Row because, it's not that down and dirty. It's a heavy flick. But I hope y'all enjoy it. And I hope you seek it out and I hope you enjoy it because not enough people have seen this. It would probably shock a lot of people to know that it is tangentially related to The Exorcist. But yeah, and well worth checking out. Well worth seeing on a double feature with The Exorcist, I think. And with that, I'm going to leave you. You need to check this one out.